had it not been for the project, I don't know that I would have been able to implement those things. I would have been sitting there for months and weeks trying to figure out the most perfect plan possible instead of saying, hey, let's start here. We got to do something. And then, over time, making it better, which is what we ended up doing.
Hey, what's up? I'm Steve Eckert, United States Marine entrepreneur and instructor of the project. Welcome to the MDK Project Show. That's the Modern Day Night Project Show. This is a show about men in search of meaningful transformations in their family, fitness, finances, and faith, where they have meaningful breakthroughs in their finances, their family, so that they become even better husbands, fathers, leaders, and men. And this occurs through physical, mental, and emotional hardship and sacrifice so they can become even better men. And I want to welcome today James Swift, a graduate of class 004 of the project. What's up, freak? Thanks for joining us on the show. Just introduce the people to yourself and just let us know where you're from, what you do.
Yeah, my name's James Swift. I'm the owner of Rancho Cordova Fit Body Boot Camp in Rancho Cordova, which is a suburb of Sacramento in Northern California. But yeah, I mean, that's what I do.
Awesome. Good stuff. So let's get right to it. The project. When you first heard about the project or it came up on social media, how'd you first hear about the project?
So as a Fit Body Bootcamp owner, Bedros Keuilian's our CEO. He's our leader. And I've heard him, talking about the project for quite a bit. And I would follow along. I'd see the videos on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and just there was always that level of curiosity. So so it's just following Bedros and seeing the videos pop up.
So once you saw the videos, and there's some fun looking stuff, some off the wall stuff, some crazy shit going on there. What was it about it when you saw the videos, maybe read up on a little more, did some research that spoke to you, that resonated with you, where you said, you know what, this is something I need to get involved with at this point in life? What was it?
Well, I've always been the type to want to tackle physical challenges. That was a big piece for me. That was, I guess, the hook, the intriguing part. But when I would hear things like, do you want to level up in life? Do you want to make a greater impact? Do you feel like you were meant for more? That was what spoke to me, because I always felt that, I would always get to a certain point and I would just kind of hit this invisible ceiling to a certain degree, or maybe I just didn't believe in my ability to do those things. And I felt that, with Bedros, someone I trust a lot. And so I felt, well, this was something that I just need to be a part of to see if I was as strong, tough as I thought I was.
You wanted to find out who you really were, what you were made of, what you were capable of, what was your true potential, maybe never been tested in that way before? Is that kind of where you were at?
and what was stopping me? Something was stopping me, but I just couldn't figure it out on my own. I knew I needed some help.
What made you think or feel that something was stopping you, or that you even needed help? What were some struggles you were going through, or what were some of the things you were looking to achieve out of going through the project? Where were you at that point?
Well, I'd say from relationship standpoint, I was the proverbial nice guy. I was always the one that would, keep my mouth shut. I didn't want to cause waves. I would avoid confrontation, and that really impacted my relationships. And deep down inside, I would be frustrated with myself because I didn't speak up. I didn't say what I needed to say. And, I would avoid those short-term conflicts. But I knew it was causing me a lot of long-term stress. And that was something that I just got frustrated with. I couldn't live with that anymore.
So you used to be kind of quiet, maybe not respond to things and hold it in a little bit. And now the project will turn you into just a loudmouth, obnoxious dickhead, is basically what it says. If you want to be just like me, come and join the project. We will hook you up. But in all seriousness, then from that point, you made the decision to join the project. What were some of your fears, hesitations that you might have had? What were, once you made that commitment, or even before you made the commitment, what were things going through your head that, questioning yourself about it, or discussions you might have had with your wife about it, or how was that whole build up to the actual first getting registered for it and then, preparing for it? There's everything that happened before. Just tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a level of fear that comes along with the unknown, right? Not knowing what we would really be going through. And it's always nice to lay in my nice, comfortable, warm bed, scrolling through Facebook and go, oh, that sure looks like fun to army crawl through some mud and dirt. And
it's marine crawl, but no one's kidding.
Yeah, marine. Yes.
People have died for the last, never fucking say that shit again.
Marine crawling through what looks tough. But, so there's always that fear of the unknown. But I also knew that there were probably things in my past that I didn't want to tackle, but I needed to tackle. And so I knew from other people that had gone through the project that those things would surface. And there was a small part of me that wasn't sure if I was ready to tackle those things. And then, of course, there's a financial investment. And at the time, we were a year and a half into opening our business. We weren't viable financially just because of the being a year and a half in business, and so making an investment, you're always concerned, am I going to get the return on investment? And that's always a fear. And so those were probably the main things that crossed through my mind as I was getting ready for the project. Was the fear of the unknown, the fear of tackling things that I didn't know if I was emotionally ready to tackle, and then making a good investment in my own personal development and whether I would see the return on that investment.
So you were a year and a half into business in the fitness industry. In the fitness industry, there's years and years of growth just to even sometimes get profitable. So that's a bold move on your part to invest $12,000 in yourself on, so soon on. How did you get over that? Talk a little more on that. How did you get over that? Like, you're so soon in your business, and what'd your wife think about that? You're starting a franchise, Fit Body Bootcamp franchise. Mm-hmm. How'd you get beyond that just thought of getting past that financial stress?
Well, since joining Fit Body Bootcamp, Bedros is huge on personal development. So my wife and I were on a personal development journey ourselves. And she had gone through and we'd invested in some life coaching for her to help her break past some barriers. It wasn't as large of an investment, but we had made that investment. But we knew that deep down inside, if I could become a better leader, which is something that I never had to do. I never had to lead people. I was a productive worker. I was someone that would go in, and what I'm really good at is putting my head down and getting to work. Mm-hmm. But communicating with people, leading people, having them see my vision was not something that I was used to doing. So we knew that if I could push past that barrier, if I could become a better leader, then we would be able to grow our business exponentially at that point. And that was probably one thing that I was struggling with was, conflict, tough conversations with team members, being able to not sugarcoat everything, which I'm extremely good at. And I needed to stop sugarcoating things and be more direct and be a leader and not someone that was just coddling people.
That's awesome stuff that you're even, you had the self-awareness to figure that out and realize you need to do something about it to go to the next level, to make the business profitable. And one of the things that I heard you say which was awesome is that your wife was also, either before you did the project or even at the same time, to work on her own personal development, to make herself even better. Is she in the business with you?
She is now. So since completing the project, I always kind of kept her, I'd say at arm's length, in the sense of the business, because when I started the business, in the back of my mind, there was always that fear of failure. And I thought, well, if I financially destruct, then if she's not part of it, then she won't be impacted. That was my rationale. But since joining the project, and going through and kind of breaking down some of those barriers, I realized that it was more of a control problem that I had. And, the fear of taking someone else's input and her input instead of allowing her to help us grow the business. So since completing the project, we've had multiple discussions, and that was, I guess, another part is I really struggled with having difficult conversations with her, and the project really allowed me to start speaking up for myself from an emotional standpoint, but then allowing us to really set boundaries when it comes to the business and saying, hey, okay, we're going to talk about the business. We can't allow our emotions as a couple to get into the mix.
So where you were at before the project, it almost would have been impossible for her to even come into the business as the limiting factor, because
correct,
your communication skills, and if you're having some communication issues personally, how could you possibly then compound that professionally? It would just be an implosion. So you wouldn't even be able to do that. That's awesome that you did that after. I knew she was in the business, but I didn't realize that she only became in the business afterwards. So that was kind of what allowed that to happen, is after you joined the project, you became better communicator, is what it sounds like, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I was able to communicate with her a lot more, and it's all it's done is just improved our relationship.
And you probably even thought before the project that a lot of people think it's not possible to be in business with their spouse. They're like, the way I see it, I've been in business with my wife. We've been in business since before we even got married. Like that's just how it's been. And I see it as in people say, oh, how could I work with my spouse? I'm with them all day at home. Like, motherfucker, if you can't deal with that person for only a certain amount of time, you shouldn't have got that. You maybe didn't pick the right one. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe like if you can't stand to be around them for a few hours a day and you can't even function and have an adult conversation, like you either need to get your shit together because you're the limiting factor, or, reevaluate that situation. So that's awesome. You were able to come to that conclusion. And how is it going now with both of you in the business, and affecting you personally? Are you able to make that happen? How's it going?
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it's much better than I've ever imagined that it would be, and yeah, you'd always hear like, you don't mix blood with business, family with business, that kind of stuff. And I found that it was just, you can't do that if you can't communicate. But if you can communicate and you can set boundaries, then you can absolutely mix the two and see great success. And that's what we found. I mean, she still has her own 9-to-5 job, but she's since she's gotten certified, she coaches some sessions. She helps with some marketing and some hiring, that type of stuff. So it's been. It's really, now she is in the business.
And not just make it success, but probably even more successful if you had, say, whatever she's doing in the business, if you just hired someone else and was doing that stuff. It's not even close, because now you could come and do something like, come back like you're here as a junior instructor for the project, take a week away from work. What a relief, almost a freedom, knowing that your business partner is your spouse, right? You can leave there and not even have to worry about it at all, like not even think about it, knowing that she's part of the business and she's going to have, take care of things and have that trust in her that she could do it. Like that's empowering. That's like a force multiplier. I think when you can go into business with your spouse, that's a force multiplier. Like you have that partner in not just in the business, but also in life. Like they got your back. So you don't have to worry about, are they going to go and look for a different career or something? Like they're in that. So that's awesome that you're able to put that together.
Yeah. Power couple. As I always like to see, and that's what I feel like we are, is just, we're now a power couple, for the last year.
And the other thing that stood out that I heard you say was, again, how she was on the personal development as you were going, because what we see happen a lot of times, even graduates of the project, they'll struggle with that. They'll go on their own personal development, or anyone that hires a coach or starts going to workshops, starts reading personal development books, they start leveling up, but their spouse or whatever else is not on that journey with them. So they're not leveling up. So they start eventually such a big gap in between them that they're not even speaking the same language. So that the fact that you two were leveling up at the same time is what made it such a smooth transition for you. It seems like I think that's a huge lesson, is if you're working on your own personal development, you need to. It's like an absolute must. Bring your spouse, partner, your goat, whatever the fuck you're into, bring them along on the ride with you, because you're speaking the same language when you meet. Now you start going to workshops, you join the project, you hire a coach, and you're just here and you're developing, reading all these books, and they're down here wanting to just sit and watch Netflix and eat fucking ice cream. That you're speaking a different language. Now you're speaking English and they're speaking Russian, and it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to communicate. So that's awesome that you did it together, and that's the right way to do it. Like, take them along on the ride with you, or else it's just impossible to make it happen. Good stuff. So let's jump into the project. That's kind of what led up to it. That was kind of the before. Let's talk about the fun stuff, the good stuff. During the project, share with me one of your least favorite experiences, evolutions, tasks you had to do, your least favorite moments of those actual 75 hours in the project.
There was probably one least favorite moment of the project.
It certainly couldn't have involved me. I'm sure of it.
I loved you throughout. I mean, I loved the energy that you brought. That was great. I mean, it was shitty sometimes, but it was fantastic. Actually said that you were my favorite instructor throughout the whole time. But
I'll pay you that $5 later.
Yeah,
for that.
yeah, I got you. But the dash. So digging our own graves, laying in that body bag, actually having dirt thrown on our faces. That was probably the only time during the project I thought I may quit. It was something that I was not anticipating, being zipped up in that body bag and trying to find air somewhere and trying to control my breathing and the unknown of how long we were going to be down there for. It was a very enlightening experience.
So more, it sounds like more physically and emotionally you were ready to. That was what was making you even consider it, not physically. It's not like you were gasping for air and had to tear yourself out, and that's why you were going to quit. Before you even got to that point, you were already thinking about, I'm going to be gasping for air, or how long is it going to take? So it was in your head, is what you're saying.
It was in my head. Yeah. It was. It was definitely my least favorite for sure. But it was. Everything else was fine. I mean, it sucked in its own.
Everything else was fine.
It sucked in its own special way. But
we'll have to step up our game. 008, you are fucked. Fuck. Thanks, James Swift, for what's about to happen.
And 008, I'm here to help you guys. So
he will be here, junior instructor, and appreciate you coming out for taking a week away from your life to come and help us out with that. So the dash was your least favorite, and the rest, what were some of the standout? Where you just were like, you know what, this is fun. This is like a privilege. Other people might think this sucks, but this is just a privilege to be going through this right now. This is just fucking awesome. What were some of your more favorite moments, evolutions, stories, whatever that you were going through?
The pugil sticks. I really enjoyed beating the shit out of each other with the pugil sticks. It was difficult, but I felt like that was something that I've always enjoyed, is anything that had to do with physical confrontation. Like, not a problem.
Of course, because you're a shitty communicator. Like,
right.
Fuck it, let's just
Let me just beat the shit out of you.
Just fight and call it a day. I'm going to whoop your ass, you're going to whoop my ass. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to talk about the emotions and all this other bullshit.
Yeah.
Just fucking fight and call it a day.
Right.
I like it. I like that strategy. Fighting solves everything. Perfect.
Exactly.
That's awesome. The pugil sticks. Yeah, there's just something about sinking in a good clean hit on someone, but not just that. Also, there's something about getting your head
rocked.
Just knocked, and maybe even if you fall down, maybe even lose, but then realizing, you know what, I'm fucking getting back up and I'm going to keep marching on. I'm not fucking dead. I'm not, seriously injured. Like, you could take a licking and keep rolling and keep moving and not just be a little bitch and just give up. There's just something empowering to that about just trading blows with another fucking human.
Yeah, fighting for life. Every day we have the opportunity to fight for life, and and that was something with the pugil sticks, and I guess, like you said, being able to beat the shit out of someone that you care about, in the nicest way possible, of course, but then being able to just shake hands and be like, hey, good job.
Yeah,
that was a good time.
That's awesome. That's just a deep level of bonding and respect and just growth on so many levels. That's awesome. People think that pugil sticks are just for the hell of it. Like, there's so much going on there, respect and bonding and challenges and overcoming fears and things like that. So much going on with that. And now that I'm thinking about it, you just gave me a flashback from your class. You were in the Corona class, right?
Correct.
So you during your class, you didn't even realize that during your class, the world had fucking shut down.
Completely.
Like you were right in the middle of that March, like whatever, 13th, whatever the hell it was, where the world just shut down and you didn't even know about it.
No.
And
we knew a little bit. We knew a little bit because Matt would come in and he'd tell us, hey, there's a pandemic going on. And we're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course, we're dead tired at this point and probably not completely processing. But then I think the next day he came in and he said, yeah, they canceled the NBA season.
Yeah.
And we're like, what the fuck? Like that was just mind blowing to us. But of course, there's nothing we can do.
Think how cool that is, though, that you're sitting there. Imagine there was just chaos and riots and the world is on fire, but you're in there in this, your own world, like becoming better still and still learning and focused. And like, there's something to that. Like when shit's going on in the world, to realize that it doesn't have to affect you. Like the only reason stuff would have affected you because you would have known about it. Like you could outpower that stuff by controlling your own day and your own agenda and what you're focusing on. Like you didn't even know that the world shut down. Like think about that. The world's shut down and you're just kicking on, like having a blast, having fun, beating the fuck out of people and people just sticks. Like there's a lesson in there. There's something powerful to that, to be able to shut down the bullshit in the world and not let it affect you, even though you didn't even know that it was going on. But the thing I was getting at was that when you mentioned the burial, your class, I don't remember. So in March, I guess that's a time the earth is just not very forgiving. Because usually it'll take an hour or two for the class to dig their graves. And you were only class 004. So by then, we still were figuring out we still don't even know what the fuck we're doing. Like we're figuring out as we go. We're making it better every time. We're always constantly tweaking and improving. We analyze every single bit of it, attention to detail in every single part. But I remember your group was there and we had to go set some stuff up in the background. We had the junior instructors there, but we still were helping set things up. You guys were about an hour and a half into it. It was pretty cold at night. It was like the middle of the night. It's getting pretty cold out there. We're standing there watching you, making sure it's deep enough, and it's just not going anywhere. We're like,
it took us 2 hours to get like 6 inches down.
I remember we took off to go get some stuff set up for what you had coming up next. We came back like over an hour later, and we thought for sure you're all just going to be sitting there like with your on strike, like we're done digging. You motherfuckers were, I don't even know, 3-4 hours. We come back and you're just hitting, your shovels are hitting like rock, like bedrock. There's like sparks fucking flying out. And you savages just kept digging and digging and digging. And at that point, I'm pretty sure after that, I don't think we lost any of you after that section. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think one. I think we lost one, but that was.
We came back and saw the way that you guys were just like, it was hours, and you made like this deep. Like we're going to be here all fucking day. We're not going to get anything else done because we had to let you dig deep enough to bury yourself. Or you're not going to get the effect. You motherfuckers were just hacking away it was crazy. Like we respected the work you guys were putting in just on the digging. Like we literally left you guys for over an hour after you were already like an hour and a half into it, and you're just chopping away. And then you were there for like another hour after that, just to barely get low enough to get your shoulders in there. But that was awesome. I just had a thought about that. That was some good work there. Probably that's why you were ready to go. After you're done digging your hole, you're like, you know what? Fuck this shit.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't come here to dig for 5 hours.
I'm good.
Fuck, I'm out of here. Good stuff. So that was some of your standouts, the puzzle sticks. Anything else that stands out throughout the experience?
Things that I enjoyed?
Yeah.
Or funny stories? I mean, things I enjoyed, the ball, when you're throwing the tennis ball, we had to go and fetch the tennis ball. It was like, I forget what that was called, but it was like a...
that wasn't even a planned evolution. We just found a ball. We said, here, fucking go
just go get it.
You get some
Bring it back
out.
to me. Yeah.
And you thought there was some deep. No, there is a lesson to everything. You were the group? No, you weren't the group. That was class. Maybe it was your group. One of the groups. Like there's a lesson to everything, right? Sometimes you need to be a leader. Sometimes a follower. Sometimes work as a team. Sometimes you do need to figure shit out on your own, right? And being an individual. There's a time for everything. Was it your group? We threw the fucking ball and they thought it was a test. Like really, that was a chance that we were like, the whole purpose of that ball is to let you now just unleash, go after it. There's no team, like try to be the winner because there is a time that you want to win. That's really one of the lessons there with that. one of the groups, I have to think back who it was, maybe it wasn't yours. They thought that, because we're always talking about work as a team, be united, a cohesive unit. Finally, we want you to break out when we're doing that ball drill to someone be to like fight for the win, fight for the victory. It's okay to, even though you're your brothers, to have a little competition amongst you. One group came back and it's just a tennis ball, a regular size fucking tennis ball. One group, there was 8 or 9 of them left at that point, that you came back with the ball and they thought it was a teamwork drill. And they're all holding the ball. They each have 2 fucking fingers and they're trotting along holding the ball. I'm like, you dumb motherfuckers, this is not a test. One of you come back with it. And they're like, nope, you're not going to get us.
That was not us.
We're a team. There's 8 fucking grown men running through a park with 2 little fingers pinching on the nut, like a kid's in a nutsack, running over to us. I'm like, oh my God, what did we do to these fucking guys? Holy
no, that
shit.
was not us. We were
figure out
throwing elbows.
That's a true fucking story. Like,
yeah.
I got to think of what group it was that it wasn't you. Like, we finally want them to unleash the beast and like go for the victory, be the sole victor, because sometimes you have to stand out and stand above everyone else. They're like, nope, we're going to trot and hold the fucking ball. It was some funny shit. Yeah, it was cute. It was cute. I'm sure Ed has it on video. We have to find that video. I'm sure we got it somewhere. That we got to put that in their highlight reels. We won't sell another fucking project. They see 8 fucking big ass brutes prancing wrong like little bitches holding the fucking ball. We won't sell shit ever again. No one will ever. The project will be done if we put that video out there. I shouldn't even be talking about it. Ed, we're going to have to cut this part out because we just fucked the whole project up from that group that did that.
We just need to put that up in the Facebook group.
Yeah,
so we can all.
But I do want to see that video, and I want to know who it was that did that. I got to remember. It was fucking funny. All right, so we kind of talked about what led you up to the project. We talked about your experience during it. Let's talk about after graduation. So you made the graduation. What were some of the immediate, like, there's some lessons now that you're learning. It's almost over a year now for you, right? Yeah, year and a half almost. Yeah, March. So shit, year and a half almost. Like, we're getting on it, whatever. So you're getting some new lessons probably now are still just kicking in and you're still just keep growing and evolving. But what were some of the immediate take-home, tangible lessons, like marching orders that your feet hit the ground at home and you're like, all right, now I'm already operating on a different level? What were some of the ways you were already different at that point? Like
a couple things. So we talked about the communication piece. So I really went home and really worked on being a better communicator, over communicating as opposed to what I'm used to doing, which is under communicating.
How long after graduation did your wife enter into the business?
That still took, 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, that was probably a slower part because we had, like I said, there were still some things, and I was talking with Chris out there. It wasn't a 180 change. It was something that I progressed into being more vocal and sharing my feelings.
So you had to work on yourself, then you had to work on your relationship with your wife, and then, all right, now that I'm semi-unfucked, our communication personally is semi-unfucked. Now it's at a good enough point that, all right, now we can enter into the business, kind of like the path that went.
You got it.
That's awesome. That's exactly what we're talking about, like the immediate impact and then the longer term impact. Like that was 6 months later. That's a perfect example of the effects of the project even down the road. And 6 months from now, 6 years from now, something will happen that was literally an effect from your experience in the project, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been a ton of growth in this last year, and a lot of it accelerated because of COVID and everything like that. But the other part was decision making. So, we come out of the project on a Saturday. The following Wednesday, we shut down our gym. We had to close our doors for 2 weeks or whatever it was supposed to be. And so we had to immediately pivot and figure out how we're going to service our members. Because again, we're a year and a half in business. It's like we weren't, we weren't successful by any stretch. We were still on our growth path. And so we couldn't go backwards too far because then we would be done. And so it was, I'm an analyzer by nature, which leads to really long, drawn-out decision-making processes. And so one of the things that we learned was to make a decision and then just be ready to pivot whenever we need to. If it's not the right decision, then figure it out and pivot the next way. And so that was a big thing. So luckily, being that Bedros is our CEO, he laid out a plan, along with like Matt, Aaron, and they said, hey, this is what you guys need to do. But that's for all-encompassing fit bodies, and not all of that fits into what everybody can do. So we have to pull pieces from that plan and then implement them in our location. So that was I'm extremely grateful for the project, because had it not been for the project, I don't know that I would have been able to implement those things. I would have been sitting there for months and weeks trying to figure out the most perfect plan possible, instead of saying, hey, let's start here. We got to do something. And then, over time, making it better, which is what we ended up doing.
So where would you see your business now? So it's a year later, things are still not even fully opened up here in California. It's still a shit show. So if you didn't go through the project, so a brand new business, year and a half, that's bad enough no matter what industry you're in, right? You're still in still trying to make a profit pretty much, and still growing in a growth phase. Put on top of that the fitness industry, which is just a tough industry in general. And then on top of that, the corona hits at the exact same time. Where would you see yourself now if you hadn't have gone through the project? Where would your gym be right now?
We'd probably be closed. I mean, to be frank. I don't know, and that's the tough thing, I don't know, but what I can say is, even today, we've doubled our staff. Revenue wise, we're essentially where we were at last year, when we had to close our doors, which wasn't great, but actually we make a little bit more. But I mean, being that there are businesses that have closed or still down 40, 50%, and I feel like we're thriving with a great team of coaches and a great staff that really cares, and we're continually growing. I can see ourselves in an amazing position by the end of this year.
That's awesome.
And that's not a lot of businesses can say that today. So I don't think that we would be here. I think we would be closed. To be frank.
That's some deep stuff. That's fucking awesome. Like, so you wouldn't have been able to withstand the storm and hold the team together, and still, like, now a year later, a year of shutdown, you're still at least where you were, even improved from where you were, which you're in the top 1% of gyms in the fitness industry that aren't able to say that. So had it not been for the leadership lessons you learned in the project, the communication, decision making, like, that's been a huge impact on making that happen, it sounds like.
Yeah, and the brotherhood. I mean, you're surrounded by high level individuals. Being able to come back to the project and give back as a junior instructor, to check in and see all the great things that all of our other brothers are doing. It just makes you say, you can do more, instead of looking at, let's say, the average people that are kind of walking around the world that are just kind of putting in average or minimal effort. Everybody is their goal is to kill it every single day. And having that to push you, and that standard to have to live by, and not have to live by, but want to live by, it just, there's a level of pride. There's a level of accomplishment. There's, you want to make your brothers proud.
Speaking of the brotherhood, did you realize when you were going through the project that something like that existed afterwards, or did you just think, all right, I'm going to go get some motivation, get on fire, and then it's going to be just up to me on my own from that point? Did you realize there was an ongoing, literally an ongoing lifelong brotherhood with all the other graduates and instructors, and those type of connections and camaraderie? Did you realize that when you were? I
didn't. No. That was. I knew that there were, because, there were, from the first few classes, there were some other Fit Body Bootcamp owners. So I always felt, like we would have something in common, between like Lucky and CJ, and there's a few other Fit Body owners that have gone through the project. I always felt, we would have a connection, but I didn't realize that we would have this network of high-level individuals in all facets, different industries that we could lean on for assistance or ideas, and I think that's really helped out a lot.
So being part of the brotherhood has been part of the process throughout this last year. It's not just the project itself to help you get through this fucking crazy Corona time. It was being part of that brotherhood and having that support system and camaraderie and other men to lean on for help, or time you needed just to talk to someone, or time to be vulnerable, or whatever it is. Was that part of the process of what helped you get through this crazy year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a level of accountability. There's a level of support. So like even Brent, I didn't mention Brent. He's another Fit Body owner. He checks in with me if he kind of sees me kind of MIA. Hey, how's it going? How you doing? And we talk a little bit. And, just being able to talk and release that information with other people that understand, it's been extremely beneficial throughout the process. So yeah, that support system, that accountability, it's been, otherwise I would have went home 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks later. You would have easily fallen into the old habits. I mean, I see that in the fitness industry all the time, right? It's like 6-week challenge. I'm going to, eat really well and be healthy. Yeah. And then, if they don't stay on, and they don't continue the membership, and they don't continue with the accountability, it's only a matter of time before you fall into those old habits. I mean, that's human nature. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that accountability, that support, that brotherhood, it's what keeps us going.
Awesome, good stuff. So you're here obviously you took a week out of your life to come back to experience this now from the other side of the lines, and I'm telling you, you're going to get just as much or more out of it as a junior instructor. So I'm excited to see your growth, your continued growth, just by being back here for another week. What's a few pieces of advice you'd have for the gentlemen that are about to come in as candidates as we start this next class that you're here to help out with? What are a few pieces of advice you'd have for them on getting through the project, but probably similar advice for them just to get through life? What would some of those things be?
Well, I'd say the first thing is, you have to make the decision to continue. You can't think about quitting. If you think about quitting, then that's just eventually going to eat away at you over time. So if you're doing the project, you have to come in with a determination that, as we would say, hey, I'm either going to die or I'm going to pass. I'm going to get through this or not. But you can't think about ringing that bell, because if you think about ringing that bell, you've already quit on yourself, and you're worth way more than the pain and the struggle of getting through the project.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So how could the viewers out there find you on social media?
James Swift on Facebook, FBBC Rancho Cordova on Instagram. You can follow along, and we're always posting some inspirational stuff and just trying to change lives every single day. That's our mission.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm excited to see your growth through these next few days and next few years and the rest of your life. So thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Awesome. This has been another episode of the MDK Project Show for men in search of meaningful transformations in their family, fitness, finances, and faith. If you know that's you, or anything we just talked about resonated with you, please like, subscribe, add your comments down below, share this video with your friends, your family members, your coworkers, or even your fucking enemies. I will talk to you later. You are freaking awesome. No excuses.